Hey guys, so this is going to be a quick tutorial on visually how to set up the green scope. The green scope is one we use for foreign body removal. We'll also use it in internal medicine for upper GIs, but the main point of this video is for you just to learn the basics of setting up the green scope to the old tower. If you've done the training, you should know. If you haven't, you should probably watch the training or read the training first. So right now, this is the old tower. I already have all the equipment, so you want to make sure that you have all your equipment first. You want your tower, you want your scope, you want both the tubing for suction, you want your canister. The rolly's handy with the canister top. You want to make sure that you have your video connector, which tends to live right here on the old tower. And then your water, you want to make sure it has enough distilled water in it. And to know that, you just want to make sure it's at least half full. There are little divots on here. Just don't go higher than the tall one, the top divot. So we're starting with the green scope. And some might say, how do I know the green scope? Well, the green scope has got green here and here. And it is also called the VQ8143A, which no one's going to remember. So that's why we have color coding. The other thing you want to make sure is there's a green ready to use sticker on it, or tag. This means that it's clean and it's ready to be utilized. If there is a red tag, not ready, you want to talk to your doctor to find out which scope they want to use. Ideally, it should always be green, but we never know. So the first thing we kind of want to do is make sure we have our buttons on the scope. I've grabbed both buttons and you should see that on the video as well. But here I have, hopefully you guys can see this, red and blue. Red just goes right on top and you'll see it'll just snap in so that it is against the machine. And this one should snap in. If you see that metal, it means it's not snapped in tight enough, so you just want to get that in tight. The other piece is the channel protector, the channel cover. So if we have suction, we have a closed system. Make sure you put it on right. I tend to mess it up all the time, so I'll close the top, and then I know that I have it on right, and it can pop open. So now we have our connection pieces on the scope. When you handle the scope, as long as you're not bending this piece on a tight angle, holding it like this is fine, or like this. You just don't want to bend it tight. When you hang it, you want to be sure that you have it hung so this is either back here or through the center. I personally feel like if you just hang this in the back, slide the scope through the middle hole, you should have it stable and sturdy. The end of the scope should always have this little foamy protector on it. You always want to make sure this part is protected. It is one of the more expensive parts of the equipment where all of the connectors are, and it's a very important part. Here, the other thing you want to be aware of is when you push it through here, it's not sticking out. So when you lay it on the ground, the most important part is exposed. Common sense to some, but if you're not aware of it, you might not know about it. So I just make sure he's tucked in there somewhere. So the first thing we're going to do for connecting is we need to take this top off. The cap, you just twist and remove. Don't lose the cap. I'm going to put him right up there. Then this piece, this long piece, is going to go in with the connector opening on the right side in the bottom. The bottom here is where the scope goes, and it does say scope. And it just snaps in. From there, we have our video connector. It is labeled scope and image source. Scope, of course, is down here. You'll also see a yellow dot and a yellow line here on the scope. When you place it, you do not line up the yellow. The yellow kind of go in the front, and then you twist, and it will now be connected to the top. And then here, the top, image source. This one, you start with yellow to yellow, and then you click and the yellow dot is actually on the side. They're not matched. If they're matched and you don't click it all the way, your monitor will not show a picture. So now these two things are attached. Now we're going to attach the water. And it doesn't matter if you do suction, then water, then this. They just all need to be attached before you turn it on and use it. So our water bottle, if it's just sitting up here, you have to take it off or back on. There is a little hook here and a metal hook here where you can just hang it there. And then you take the male side here, and there's a small female side on the base of the scope. And you're just gonna pop it in, okay? Now we have two types of tubing for suction. First thing you want to do to make sure your suction is hooked up correctly is make sure this top is all the way sealed. If it's popped off at all, it will not work. So make sure it's tight. Make sure this isn't stuck on the inside. I've done that. And make sure that these aren't open. Nice and closed. There's two ports we're going to use. We have the vacuum, which is in the center. And that's going to be this little guy, who the other end of him is the metal end that's going to go in the drop-down suction white port in wherever you are, procedures room or wherever you are. I don't have that in this room, so I'm just showing you how to set it up, but that will just go into the ceiling. For now, we're not going to hook him up. The other end of him is going to go right in the vacuum in the center. And then we're just going to imagine that this end would be hooked up to the ceiling. The other tubing may have two blue ends. It may have a blue end and not a blue end. I find the blue end holds better in the canister versus on the side. So the canister where it says patient, I will firmly put that on. And then this side goes right on this little port on the right side. And you just want to get them on firm so it's snug against the machine. Now all these cords are going to be kind of a pain, so you just kind of want to make sure you don't roll over them. Keep them out of the way when you're adjusting your machine to where your space is. Just make sure it's not getting smushed. If it gets smushed, of course your suction's not going to work. Now we have all this set up. We're going to turn the machine on, which you can plug it into the wall first or last. I'm doing it last. On the back of the machine, you'll have a big white cord, and just plug that in to the wall. Now that we have everything attached, we just turn everything on. Now, sometimes the monitor will just turn on for you because it was left on. That's fine. But on the top here, it says turn me on first, and right here on the back side, there's a button that says power. So you would push that. This is already on, so I don't have to worry about it. And then I would come down here and it says turn me on second, turn me on third. So both of these machines are being turned on. One's light and one's recording for images if we want to take pictures or video. Now the last one here, this is where we would put a USB in if we wanted to take pictures. As of now, we're not doing that. If your doctor wants to, we need a USB port in here. But then this is turn me on last. And there's a little button on the side. Everything should come on. You should see your screen. It might take a minute. There's your screen. In order to know that everything is working, take this off and make sure you can see your hand. Okay? So I can see my hand. Generally with foreign bodies, the doctors are not taking pictures and entering things, but if for some reason the doctor wants you to, down here where we have the USB plug, there's a button that says new patient. I'd push new patient and I would enter in my last name, and you don't hit enter, it says tab to next field. So you'll hit tab, first name of the patient. And then if there's anything else the doctor wants, you can ask them. Otherwise, that's generally what we're adding. So you'll hit enter. And then here I added Fluffy Smith. Fluffy Smith is on here. We don't need to worry about the rest, but it is labeled if we do take pictures. from there, we would test the machine, but that's going to be another video. So here's how you set up the green scope to the old tower and use this for foreign bodies. Thanks, guys.